Hey, Brian.
Morning, John.
Morning. Hey, I may be popping out a couple times throughout the day here. My wife had shoulder surgery Thursday. Home recovering, full-time nurse.
Yes, completely understood. No worries whatsoever. Hope she is doing well,
She
and
is.
and you also.
Yeah, it's been a real experience.
Did her surgery go well?
It did. She tore her rotator cuff falling while running, and they had to open it up. They couldn't do a arthroscopic surgery. So a little bit more involved, but the surgery went well. Dr. Price, good guy at Bone and Joint. It's just a recovery that's gonna take quite a
Got
while
it. Yep.
and painful.
Yeah. Well, totally understand. No worries about the in and out. Join as you can.
Yeah. All right. Well, sounds good. And where's the music from your daughter? I'm waiting for that.
It's apparently it's faint enough that only I can hear it. So it is happening.
Is this her
But
first year?
she's been doing it a little bit for probably a couple. We have a family friend actually back east who uh, has been teaching her over Zoom, which has been really sweet and helpful.
Oh wow. Yeah, the first year anything instrument is not fun.
Yeah, she's actually quite good. I enjoy listening to her practice even.
No, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Once they get it, it's fun.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, sounds good. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, John. Hey, Megan, if you can hear me okay, do you
Yep.
know if I'm guessing that Sonia from the referral was going to join us? Um, not seeing her.
Yeah, she is. And I resent her the Zoom invite last night.
Okay.
And she does
Thank you.
have it.
Okay.
Send her an email too if she doesn't show up here shortly.
I see Mirta just joined. Thanks for doing that, Megan. Hey, Mirta, are you able? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Do you by chance, I was just asking Megan about making sure Sonia has an invitation, and it sounds like she does from emails last night, and I'm guessing maybe before. Do you have a way to oh, there we go.
She should be joining. Yeah.
Okay, I think she just did, and
I
I might
see
have been.
her.
I think I may have been mispronouncing her name. Is it Sienna or?
Sienna.
Oh, my apologies. Okay. I think we are ready to go then. Could we get the public participation slide up? Thanks. And we're good to go, Megan, with e-scribe and everything?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Good morning. I will call Committee of the Whole to order for today, Wednesday, September 15th. We have our regular slide up with information as we continue to meet virtually during the pandemic. These are the links at the city's website for meetings and agendas. And the next slide is our standard information about how to participate in the virtual environment using the raise or lower hand in the Zoom meeting if you're a participant, clicking more if you're on an iPhone or Android, and if you're on a landline, you can use *9 to raise and lower your hand. And as always, we have our City Council voicemail number, 406-552-6012, that sends a digital voicemail to all council members, as well as the council email, council@ci.missoula.mt.us. Thank you. We can take that down. We have, let's see, minutes from, I believe, 2 meetings, are August 18th and August 4th.
And do you want me to call roll first?
Oh, yes. Apparently I am new to this.
No worries. Anderson?
I think she's going to miss this morning.
Okay, thank you. Becerra?
Present.
Contos?
Here.
Harp?
Here as well.
Hess?
Present.
Jones?
Here.
Merritt?
I think Julie is also going to miss this morning.
Okay. Ramos?
Present.
Cheryl?
Present.
Vasika?
Present.
Von Mossberg?
Here.
West?
Present.
Thank you.
Thanks. That was reminiscent of Monday night when we almost didn't vote on the consent agenda. So now we have approval of minutes. We have minutes from an August 18th Budget Committee of the Whole, as well as an August 4th Committee of the Whole. Any changes to those minutes? Seeing none, those will stand approved. Is there any public comment on non-agenda items today? We have one agenda item, but is there any public comment on non-agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move to our one agenda item. Very excited for this update involving Spark Arts. And Mirta, wanted to hand it over to you for a brief introduction.
Sure, thank you. Good morning, everyone. We have Sienna Solberg with us. She's the director of Spark Arts. This is a program, Any Given Child, part of the Kennedy Center for the Arts program that, well, I'll let Sienna do a much better description of what the program is, but I just want to say that I have truly enjoyed being part of the board for Spark Arts. I think as I mentioned on Monday, after the mayor read the proclamation for Arts and Education Week for this week, I think Spark Arts has had a huge impact in how involved and how learning has been made significantly better for our kids overall, but especially during the pandemic. If you haven't seen the mural in the alley by Radius Gallery, I invite you to see it. That kind of gives you a little bit of a glimpse at what gets done through this awesome program. So without further ado, I'll just pass it on to Sienna.
Thanks. Welcome, Sienna.
Hi, thank you so much. And I just want to first say thank you all for all you are doing for Missoula. Oh my gosh, what a time to be on City Council. So thank you so much. And thank you for having me this morning. I'm really excited to kind of give you a glimpse of what we do. Please feel free to interrupt anytime if you have any questions or thoughts. I love discussion and questions. So I am going to try to share my screen. Can you all see that?
We can. It's not in the presentation. Oh, now I think it is. Now it is. Perfect.
Okay. Awesome. So we just rebranded, and here's our beautiful design from Studio Verde Creative and Haley Faust. And you'll see some banners on the hip strip if you drive by there. So Spark Arts Ignite Learning, as Mirta was saying, is a collective impact initiative, and we're administered through Arts Missoula. We are part of the Ensuring the Arts for Any Given Child, which is a Kennedy Center initiative. We were the 14th city that was selected to be part of the Any Given Child initiative, and we are now one of 27 cities in the nation that have this initiative. The mission of Any Given Child is really to ensure access and equity to all kids, the arts, right? And so I guess I wanted to say, I just love being part of this network. Missoula is on the map for the arts. Not just because we are a community that embraces the arts, but because of arts education and this initiative. And so really we have the ability to network with these other like-minded communities that prioritize the arts and know that the arts are so important for you know, their economics and their vibrancy of the community. So that has been really a wonderful thing to be able to network and really be on the map nationally and recognized. And I get people from across the nation wanting to connect with Missoula to understand how we are bringing arts into education. So obviously, if the Any Given Child mission is to ensure equity and access, that is also our mission at Spark Arts. And as a side note, Spark Arts Ignite Learning is the Missoula name for Any Given Child because everyone was getting confused with No Child Left Behind. So of course, Missoula needed to change the name to Spark Arts Ignite Learning. So I just wanted to put this up here. I'm sure you all have seen this, but you know, we really talk about equity. You know, Spark came in and kind of leveled the playing field. What we were seeing is a lot of PTAs supporting the arts in some of those more affluent school districts. And so Spark came in and really leveled the playing field. And we're now able to serve all MCPS students, which are K-8 MCPS students. But we're also really working on this equity piece. So we write grants to kind of make those Title I schools, arts education even more robust and provide more opportunities for them. And so, you know, I think one of the things that I'm seeing arts education doing, and Mirta kind of touched on this, is during the pandemic, we're using the arts for social emotional learning, and you know, that empathy, building empathy, and self-awareness, goal making, and also the arts really provide the 21st century skills of the creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, and communication. And unfortunately, there's a lot of communities in the nation that you know, have to make the decision to cut the arts and arts are one of the first to be cut. And we're so fortunate in Missoula that the arts are really a priority, and MCPS is showing that they really support arts education as well as Missoula. So now I'm going to try this video, but I've had technical issues in the past, so we'll see if you can all hear it. Maybe someone can give me a thumbs up if you can hear it, or a thumbs down if you can't, and we'll pivot if we need. Okay, I was worried about that. So maybe what I can do is just share the link for this video that you all can watch later. And oh, this is where I always run into issues, because then I try to leave this slide. Here we go. Okay, so this year, Spark Arts is really working with MCPS Arts Education Department, as we always do, but we're really working on this idea of a comprehensive arts education ecosystem. So please stop me if you have any questions as I'm going over this. But really what we're trying to communicate is that, you know, there are all these different art forms, right? There's like 8 art forms. There's media arts, there's literacy arts, there's music, there is dance, drama, puppetry, visual arts. I always forget one. I did it backwards, and so now I can't remember the other one. Should I say music? And so there are 8 art forms. Okay, dance, theater, music, media arts, visual arts, storytelling. That's the one I forgot. Storytelling, puppetry, and creative writing, or literary arts. And so not only are there all these art forms that we want to expose our students to, right, so that they can find their niche, their passion, but we also want to do it in a variety of ways, right? Deliver those arts in a variety of ways for all the various ways people learn. And so that's part of this comprehensive arts education ecosystem. So there's arts for art's sake, or arts as curriculum. There is arts enhanced curriculum. There's arts integrated curriculum. And there's arts experiences. So arts experiences are those that are the kind of one-time, high quality professional arts experiences. So it's like all the second graders going to MCT and seeing a play. And what we've seen is a lot of times our students don't have these opportunities otherwise. And so they'll come into the theater and they are just, you know, their jaws are dropped, and then they see the actors on stage and whisper to their teacher, like, I didn't know it was real people. So we're exposing them to these inspirational and motivational experiences. And we do it in a curated way where we make sure that K through 8 are getting exposure to all the various art forms. This is a Missoulian photo of Superman, which is our 8th grade experience. And like I said, we do this in a curated way where we have a committee deciding on the experiences. And it really, I went to all the 8th grade teachers to see what they needed and what they wanted. And they wanted a Native American artist. So we were fortunate enough to collaborate with Superman for our 8th grade experience. So another way to deliver the arts is arts as curriculum. And this is really what MCPS has kind of promised to do and what they focus on primarily. And then we help complement this ecosystem with working with them and partnering with them. So this is your music specialist. We are so fortunate to be recognized in the nation of having such a strong music education program. And it's also visual arts specialists in elementary schools. There's also theater teachers in high schools, but it's really art standards are the focus and the curriculum. We were lucky to get 9 elementary visual art teachers during COVID. That's a silver lining that happened. And so there's 1 elementary visual art teacher at every 9 of the MCPS elementary schools now. And we're really excited to see what happens with that.
Hey, could we, if it's okay, Sienna, I see Heather's got her hand up. Can we pause?
Yeah, just quick question, Sienna. Are those permanent art teacher positions now, or are those just part-time or temporary positions?
That's a great question. So we added 1 permanent. So instead of 3, there's now 4 permanent. And then I don't like to use the word temporary positions because we're going to do everything we can to make sure that they're not temporary. But the other positions are, I would say, are temporary for about 2 years. And so one of Spark's roles is advocacy. And so we're going to be working to show the impacts of those positions to hopefully keep them and do some advocacy with the school board, because that's kind of their role.
Capacity building it, if you will. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate the content.
Yeah.
And I'll use the opportunity, Sienna, to say, so Heidi and I have kiddos at Lowell, and we know Candace, the teacher serving there, and cannot say enough fantastic things about the opportunity to have her on board there. And certainly if there's anything we can do as you are advocating and looking for continuing funds, I think you'd find some passionate advocates willing to help out here on council. So thanks.
That's great. Thank you so much for your support. Yeah, it's amazing. This is a very exciting time. We've never had a visual arts specialist at every elementary school, and that's something we've been really fighting for a while. So it's exciting. So I wanted to briefly talk about an arts enhanced curriculum. What happens is integrated curriculum and arts enhanced curriculum kind of get confused with each other, but in arts enhanced curriculum, you're seeing this all over the place. You're seeing classroom teachers singing head, shoulders, knees, and toes to help enhance the curriculum of maybe body parts. You're also seeing ABCs being sung to memorize the alphabet and letters and sequence. The difference between an arts enhanced curriculum and arts integrated curriculum is that classroom teachers really don't need any background in the art form, right? Anyone can sing the ABCs. I do not have a good voice, but I would sing the ABCs to my children and to students. But you don't need a background in art. And so it's really a gateway. It's a great starting point for classroom teachers and a great way to enhance the curriculum. You'll also see it in teachers asking students to draw what they just read, for example, and none of the art standards are being assessed. And then the arts integrated curriculum. So I could go on and on, but I'm not going to. If you are interested, if this is something that fascinates you, and you're passionate about, I will extend the invite to an arts integration training that we are having in January that really dives deep, like 3 hours worth of arts integration and what it is. But arts integration, this is the definition from the Kennedy Center. It's an approach to teaching. So it's not just a one-time activity in which students construct and demonstrate understanding through an art form. Students engage in a creative process. This is one of the biggest things. They need to be creating themselves, and it connects an art form with another subject area and meets evolving objectives in both. What we see is it's like a very natural fit. It's very, the only word that comes to mind is beautiful. Like it's really great. So kids are learning the water cycle through dance, for example, because water cycle is naturally, that's moving, right? So then you have the students dance that out. Students are learning, I think I presented to City Council once before about the Revolutionary War, and students were learning about it through hip hop song and creating their own song lyrics. It's weather patterns and dance, or maybe weather patterns and photography, or shape of clouds and photography. So we, Spark is able to provide every K-8 student a residency in arts integration with trained local artists. And what's really great is we capitalized on the pandemic. I shouldn't say capitalized on the pandemic, that sounds awful, but we, took the time during the pandemic to really invest in our teaching artists. So they all got trained by Kennedy Center trainers on how to create these residencies. And so those are the ones that are being vetted and used in the classrooms. And it's really great. This is a student doing, I believe, science, some sort of science and visual art. Science and visual art go really well together, it seems like often. And then I just wanted to highlight some of the things that we did last year during the pandemic. So Spark really had to pivot, obviously, like everyone else did. Pivot became one of my favorite and most hated words last year. But we did arts resources for students. We're teaching artists. There were 2 teaching artists assigned to each elementary and middle school. And they worked with teachers to really understand what they needed. A lot of it was focused on social emotional learning. And they really worked on providing art kits, providing video resources. Some were Zoom sessions. Some were also even, in person in the spring outside. And this is a project at Lowell, and we were really excited to partner with Trees for Missoula to work on this. And students, the Kiwanis packs all the bags up with all of the supplies, and then our teaching artist at the Clay Studio, Jasmine Penelope, created a video resource that talked about different leaf shapes, and then students made leaves based on this arts resource and clay. And here is the beautiful finished product of the mural that will be hung up at Lowell in their garden. And then here's a Zoom session with one of our teaching artists from MCT at Russell Elementary, where they actually created a play via Zoom. I don't know how that happened, but Matt was a genius with that and provided some resources there. And really focusing on story and parts of the story through theater. I will also send you links to media videos that you can watch to really understand arts integration. It's a really complex thing to understand unless you can really see it. I'll send you some of those. And then I spoke on this briefly, but we provide arts integration professional development to classroom teachers and teaching artists. And so really our hope is to not only have these residencies with local artists coming into the classroom, but also really equip our classroom teachers with arts integration tools and strategies. So we have a couple trainings coming up, bringing literature to life through the art of paper sculpture and teaching history through hip hop. With Kennedy Center teaching artists, we're really excited to have. Last year, we trained 88 MCPS teachers in arts integration strategies. And we just kind of continue to do that, working on classroom teachers 3 through 5 this year. So here's just like a brief synopsis of our achievements. We employ over 30 local artists and arts organizations every year and provide over 95 arts integrated residencies, adding at least 1,200 additional hours of arts integrated learning. And we train about 100 classroom teachers in arts integration every year, and we reach all 5,000 plus KA students through those arts integration residencies, as well as the grade level experiences, arts experiences. And then here's that LA's mural where the artist there took work of a wonderful woman who expresses herself through art and expresses emotion through art, and students watched her interview on BBC, and then they did some gesture drawing. And so it looks just like dots and lines, but it's really students expressing themselves and their feelings about the pandemic, or their feelings during the day, or a familiar feeling through art and line and drawing. So that is it.
Thank you so much, Sienna. And that the slide with the achievements, I'm sure I'm speaking for everyone when I say congratulations. It's heartening to see. So some folks are queued up here. Heather.
Thanks. Sienna, as a once upon a time a wannabe high school art teacher myself, having moved to Montana, I believe at the time there was probably, well, the 3 high school art teachers, and then those elementary school teachers would literally move from one school to the next. And I don't know how they managed to do that alongside our music teachers. So I'm very happy to hear that there's some progress in really trying to implement arts education more and more all the time. Those particular skills that you mentioned early on of creative, critical thinking, collaboration, communications are just absolutely essential to solving the big essential problems that we have in this world. I know there's a lot of emphasis about trying to find a career path and like following this linear path forward to try and actually become whatever you want to in terms of an engineer or nurse, what have you. All important things. But in terms of trying to solve those big problems, you can't always think in a linear path. And being able to implement those arts really makes a difference. And case in point, my husband yesterday told me about a presenter he listened to yesterday from the Montana Association of Planners that said, for every time that we expect people to read and remember, they only absorb about 10% of it. When they hear it, their success rate goes up by 20%. But when they experience it, they remember it 90% of the time. So those tactile functions are really essential for us to just remember what's important and then how to incorporate that into the rest of how we work with one another. And that helps us build that common ground. So Sienna, hats off to you. Myrta, I'm very happy to hear you serve on this particular Spark Arts board. This work matters, and thank you very much for your presentation today.
Thanks. Amber.
Yeah, thanks. And I really enjoyed this presentation. I think it's great work, and thank you for doing it in our community and with our schools. You know, as I was listening to you with the arts integration piece, I'm a big fan of the IB program in our schools, the International Baccalaureate. And one of the reasons I've been a big fan of that throughout the years is because of their integrated approach to studying a topic and studying it from the perspective of art and science and history and English. And so I really love that. And I think this, enhanced understanding when you look at a topic from all these different ways is I can't, and I think Heather touched on the memory piece of it. I really think that is crucial to learning and understanding the information. So I think that's great. And it makes it more fun. I love the quote about the kids saying math is fun. It kind of made me laugh. I am curious. So thank you. It's great. I'm excited about the program. With the grants, you know, you put up the equity versus equality slide. And I know we've all seen that. And I really like that one because it does show you visually the difference. But do you have any kind of examples of maybe like the grants that you're getting and what they're supporting along the equality piece, or just more about that work? I find it really, really interesting how you to get more specific, I guess, than just that visual, even though it's a strong visual.
Yeah, thanks so much for that question. And I think, you know, it goes back to our mission is equity and access. And so I think what we originally needed to do is just kind of level set everyone and make sure that everyone was getting the arts, right? And so once we were able to do that, it now dives deeper into that equity piece instead of equality piece. And so actually Nirta was with me at the last Kennedy Center Exchange, where we really focused on that equity piece. And again, networking with different communities to see what they're doing on that equity piece. I would love thoughts or suggestions on how to do that, because we're still kind of developing that. But I do know, again, what we saw is PTAs supporting the arts in some of those affluent schools. And so I focus on the Title I. So for example, last year we got a grant from the Harvest Foundation, which is actually out of Seattle, for $10,000. And so we divided that between the Title I schools so that they could have additional resources. And so that Lowell project with Missoula trees, as well as that LA's project, we focused on Title I. So students were able to get that additional experience on top of that kind of what was expected across the district. And so we continue to do that. In my in my dream world, I would be working with Title I schools to focus on some school-wide projects that focused on like some of their challenges. Maybe there's some challenges with, you know, I don't know, kind of that civic kind of thing, like bullying or even just something that they're seeing. Maybe it would be family engagement. And so how can we use the arts to really do a school-wide and community building project in those Title I schools? So that's what I would see. But there's a lot of different thoughts out there, and I welcome community members, including yourselves, to suggest how we can help continue to make everything equitable for students, especially those who come from a lower socioeconomic background.
I love that. Thank you.
Thanks. Gwen.
Thanks. I didn't really have a comment, but more a question, but more of a comment, sorry, today. And first of all, I just want to say thanks for the presentation. And I'm thrilled that there is this program that's citywide now. This is fantastic, having had kids in elementary schools for years, and we were always pushing for more visual art. So I did just want to say, and I think you referenced this a little bit, but my understanding is I think 20 to 25 years ago, there was the word I heard used was uprising, and parents went to MCPS and said they wanted more arts, and the focus back then was on music. And that's why from 5th through 8th grade, kids get a full extra hour. I don't know if I'm not quite sure how it pans out, but there are the amazing band and orchestra programs. And in middle school, they get a ton of music, but there was always this huge imbalance, such a great focus on music, but really not getting other art forms. And so this is fantastic, this program, all of the visual arts that you're doing and everything that you're incorporating. And I did want to put a plug in. I loved the reference to storytelling. And I grew up hearing a lot of storytellers. And frankly, I think it's kind of like becoming a lost art, especially with social media. And my kids who are like early 20s hate even calling anyone on the phone as opposed to just texting or emailing. And I'm like, just call. So anyway, I hope we can, the next goal I'd love to put out there is creating a culture of storytelling in Missoula, because I think it's a crucial skill for connection and for community building, all of which creates good stuff in our community. So Sienna, just want to put a plug in for storytelling, and thanks for everything that you're doing. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And we have Mark Moss from Tell Us Something on our artist roster. And yeah, hope to build the storytelling roster as well. And I also wanted just to comment on that visual art piece. So when we went to the Kennedy Center Exchange, when all the 27 communities come together, it was 2 or 3 years ago, we noticed our gap in visual art compared to the nation, and compared to these communities coming to the table. And that's when some of the people with us who were parents of students at MCPS came back and said, we need more visual arts. People's jaws were dropping when we told them about how much visual art we got. And so again, that's a push, and that's something that we're gonna work toward, and something that we really think Missoula could be a model for Montana. Like, I think we're one of the only ones that have now a visual art teacher in every school. And so how cool could it be to take this opportunity to show our state what can happen when we have visual art, and really show even the nation that we can be a model, and really use it to do some research and data on that, like the implementation, the impacts of visual art. So yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks. Let's see, a couple more. Mirta.
Just really quickly, I just wanted to say that we hear about collective impact initiatives, and to me, this is one of those really good examples of that, because the ramifications of this program in our community are extensive and really important, because the kids benefit for sure, the teachers, but also our local artists. They get trained, they get confident, they get well inserted in the community. And I think that those are all the benefits of this program. And I think Sienna and everyone that I've had the pleasure of knowing has worked really hard to extend that ramification, if you will, and support it the best they can. So thank you again, Sienna, for coming to visit and update us.
And we have our City Council Tell Us Something alumna, Heidi West.
Thanks. I just had a question about maybe feeder schools that end up in the Missoula high school system, but don't, maybe have their own elementary or K through 8 program. And I'm specifically thinking about maybe a community like Bonner that isn't, I would assume, isn't very affluent, and maybe we're even losing kids from the MCPS school system to those outlying communities because of housing cost pressures. So I was wondering if there is a plan to expand what you guys do for MCPS to elementary schools that end up at our high schools, because it seems like there probably is a disparity in what arts education students receive.
Thanks, Heidi. That's a great question, and I think something that our stakeholders and board are looking at. I think we've always wanted to, I have a philosophy of quality over quantity. And so I think we really wanted to focus on going deep and making sure that the program is solid and sustainable and can be a model then to bring outside of MCPS. And so we've had a lot of these conversations. I've had conversations even with the county superintendent of like which schools need arts the most, and DeSmet and Bonner, came up. And so my kids go to Hellgate. I obviously would love to see this program extended. And I think, that could definitely happen in the near future. And I think in the immediate future, we're just trying to really solidify the program so it feels like quality over quantity, and then we can bring it outside. But yeah, I would love to see that, but I don't make all the decisions.
Thank you.
Yeah, understood. During the pandemic, there's been some really thoughtful collaboration around the pandemic response with city administration, council, county health department, MCPS, and the county superintendent. And I was kind of wondering the same thing. So thanks for thoughts around that. I don't see any other hands queued up. If there's anyone in the public that would like to make comment, I'm happy to take that. But if there isn't, and not appearing that there is, thanks for the referral, Mirta, and thank you so much for joining us today, Sienna, and thanks for all the good work, and look forward to being as supportive as we can be, and to the next time we get to talk with you. So thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you all so much. Really appreciate you.
All right, with that, Cal will be adjourned. Thanks.